You are welcome to today's tutorial. So as you can see already on your screen, I'm going to be showing you how to cut and sew this very beautiful, comfortable, cut together shoulder knicker jumpsuit. I'm sure you're interested in this one and that's why you are here. So if that is the case, why not sit right back, relax, and continue watching. This is going to be a two-part tutorial, that is the upper part and then the lower part. So for the upper part, if you are familiar with a jumpsuit, you will know that you don't just go ahead and use the exact half waist length, okay? You add some inches to it so that it's comfortable at the crotch area. So for the half waist length, you add about 2 to 2.5 inches to your half waist length. Like I said, this is to make the crotch area relaxed, okay? Just in case you use your exact crotch measurement for the trouser or short knicker part. So this is the half waist length measurement plus 2.5 inches, and then I connect the points together. So next I'm going to be marking the rest of our vertical measurements. So to do that, I'm going to be getting the armhole length, the breast point length, the under bust, and the half waist length. Okay, so those are the vertical measurements that I'm marking at this point. Like I said, the armhole length, the breast point, the under bust, and then the half waist length. Next, I'm going to be connecting all the points together horizontally. So this is the breast point I've connected. For the armhole, I'm going to be connecting it on this side, okay? And then this is the under bust connection, the half waist length connection, okay? So like I said, the breast point, the under bust, the half waist length, and this is our extra 2.5 inches for the length of the top. Please note that this is the center fold area of our pattern paper. So from the center back, if you are measuring a person, you get the length of the sleeve. So as you can see on your screen, this is how you're going to be measuring from the center back to where you want the sleeve to get to, okay? So you get that, and then you come down to this armhole length, you measure the same thing. So I used 20 from the center back, so I'm going to be connecting it vertically. So this is the armhole length. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be doing at this point is to divide our body circumference measurement by 4. Now, starting with the bust, I will divide the bust by 4, but I'm not going to be marking it on the breast point length, okay? I'm going to be using our bust measurement at the under bust. I hope you understand. We are not going to be marking our bust measurements on the breast point length. We are going to be marking that at the under bust. So I divide the bust measurement by 4. Whatever I have, I mark it at the under bust. Then I come down to the half waist, I divide the waist by 4 and I mark what I have. And then at the last point, I also divide the lower waist by 4 and then I mark, and I connect all the points together just as you can see me do. So from this armhole area, I connect to the under bust. And after all the sides connection, I come to the neckline area. I'm going to be using the neck width of 2.5 inches. You can use 3 if you want, depending on how wide you want the neckline to be. And I'm going to be using the neck depth of 6.5 inches. And I connect to give me a V-shaped neckline, just as you can see. So at the shoulder area, for the shoulder slant, it's your choice if you want to give it a shoulder slant or not, okay? But just in case you want to give it a shoulder slant, you come down by 3/4 and then you connect to the neckline like so, but I'm not going to be doing that, okay? So at this half waist length, I'm going to be curving upward to the under bust, which will be acting as the band for the jumpsuit, okay? So after that, for the upper part of the jumpsuit, I'm going to be using a slash and spread method. So at this curve area, I'm going to be dividing it or marking some points, about 4 to 5 points. I divide it equally, and this is what I have. I cut it out, and then I'm going to be using the front pattern to cut the back. But before I do that, I'm going to be marking out the zipper allowance of about 1.5 inches, and then I connect the vertical line. So I place the front pattern on it like so, and like I said, this is my zipper allowance. I mark the neck width of the back, and then I proceed to using the front pattern to cut out the back pattern, okay? So once I was done with that, I take out the front pattern, and then for the neck width, or the neck width and depth of the back, I'm going to be using the neck depth of 1.5 inches for the back, and then this is it, and then I connect just as you can see me do. Then for the half waist length of the back, like we always know, it's always shorter than the front. So we are going to be taking out the difference in the length of the front and the back, which is 1.5 inches. So I measure out the half waist length of the back, and then from that point, I mark downwards by 1.5 inches from the half waist length of the back, which is the difference between the front and the back, okay? So this is it, and then I fold over like so that I can take out that excess, which is going to take care of every form of bulging at the back area, okay? Like you already know, after folding, it's going to distort the side shaping, so I'm trying to take care of that so that I can reshape the side of the back, okay? So this is me just holding everything in place, and then I have it reshaped, and I also have it cut out because after folding it's going to change the shaping at the side. So this is what we have for the back of our pattern, and then I cut out the neckline of both the front and the back pattern. Okay, so next at this our curve at the under bust area downwards, I'm going to be cutting that out. And after cutting, see this our point that we marked that I said we are going to be using for slash and spread. I'm going to be extending it upwards like so. So the extension is not, the length of the extension is not going to be equal, so I slash the point like so. I have it divided into 4 parts, so I slash, and then I'm going to be spreading just like so. The spreading is not going to be too much because the pleating, as you can see on the style, is not big, so you just minimize your spreading. And then I get another pattern paper, I place it on it. I'm going to be leaving some spaces at the upper and the side of the pattern, and then I'm going to be reshaping, as you can see. And for the extension, I extended it upward by 1.5 inches, and at the front, so I come out by ½ inch, and at this point, as this folding area, I also come out by 1.5 inches, and at this down part, I come out by ½ inch. And at this lower part, because after spreading, all the points are not going to be equal again, so for the longest length, I just give it a space of ½ inch, and then I connect horizontally like so. And then at this side, I connect these points together, and then upwards I also connect these points together just like so. And then from this point, I'm going to be marking slantly like so from the 1.5 inches. You can see how I connected it. And then at the side, I reshape also to give me the perfect curve at the side. Okay, so after which I go ahead to cut out the patterns. Please watch this part carefully just in case you don't understand it at the first watch. So I cut out all the sides of the pattern, as you can see me do. So after cutting, this is what I have as my new pattern for the front. Okay, so I'm going to be using this to cut on my fabric, and then this is the back, and then the band area of the front. Okay, so it's time for us to cut on our fabric. So I get my fabric, and I'm going to be placing my front pattern on it like so. I'm just fastening it so that it will avoid every form of movement of the pattern paper. So at this side of the pattern paper, I'm going to be adding ½ inch to the front side, that is the center fold area of the fabric, and at the waist area, that's the under bust area, I'm going to be adding 1 inch. Okay, and at the side, I'm adding 1.5 inches seam allowance. All these things I'm adding at this point are just for seam allowances, okay, because I didn't add any seam allowance to the pattern paper. So I added half at this point, and I'm going to be connecting all my points together. Like I said, all these are seam allowances. So I proceeded to cutting out the fabric for the front pattern. Hey guys, please, if at this point you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do the right thing by clicking on the red subscribe button. And after the cutting of the fabric, this is what we have. So at this points that we have here, I'm going to be notching at all the points. Okay, so I notched the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. So those are the notches. Then for the back pattern, I do the same thing. I just fasten it down with the help of a pin, and then I mark my 1 inch seam allowance at the lower part, 1.5 inch seam allowance at the sides, and then ½ inch at this point. Okay, and then I connect together like so. And after the connection, I proceed to the cutting of my back fabric. So just watch carefully how I go about the whole thing so that you don't get confused, and I'm sure I can never confuse you when it comes to tutorial, trust me. So I proceeded to the cutting of the back pattern, and afterwards it's time for the band up front area of the pattern, and then I place so I also added 1.5 inches at the side, and then 1 inch at the down parts. Like I said, all these are simply for seam allowances. So I connect all the points, and I proceeded to the cutting. And after the cutting of the front band, I proceeded to notching both the upper center parts and then the lower center parts of the band. Okay, so I open it up, and this is what the band looks like. I'm sure you already know the shape. So at this point, I'm going to be taking out this our slashed and spread pattern, and then I'm going to be putting it together. I'm going to be holding them back together like what it was before I slash and spread the pattern. Okay, that's basically what I'm going to be doing at this point, because I need to use the initial pattern again. So I'll have them held back or held down with the help of a tape rule. So afterwards, remember the notching we had at this lower part. You can see all the notches. Those are where the pleats are going to be. Okay, so I open up the front pattern. This is what one of them look like. So the first notch, I just take out a pleat, and I'm going to be holding it down with the help of my pin. And the folding is just about 1/4 inch fold, so I'm going to be holding it down with a 1/4 fold like so. All the point that I notch, I'm just going to be pleating tiny like so. So I have about 4 to 5 pleats all together on each side of the upper part of the jumpsuit. Okay, so this is how I went about the pleating. They are very tiny pleats, okay, just as the sample says. So after holding it down with the help of a pin, I'm going to be ironing everything out. So with the help of a pressing iron, I ironed out all the pleats so that they are stable at the end of the day. So I carefully ironed out all the pleats one after the other, and after that, this is what they both look like. So I get the 2 front sides, and then I get my pattern and I place it. That's our first pattern that I arranged. I place it back so that I can use it to reshape the front. So I'm going to be taking out the excesses at this upper part, the side and all that, but I'm still going to be having my seam allowances intact where necessary. Okay, so for this upper part, there is no need for this. I take it out, and the front side, the front center front, I just leave 1/2 inch, and then the lower part, that's the underbust area, I need 1/2 inch, and the side I have 1.5 inches seam allowance. So I take this out, and our front piece of fabric is set for stitching. So I'm going to be stitching the front together, and then I place the band and I have it stitched like so, and then the front is ready, and I get the back, I place it and I stitch on the shoulder. After stitching on the shoulder, I'm going to be folding the sleeve length. So I fold it depending on how wide I want the hemming to be, after which I'm going to be closing the sides, and then I place the down part, that's the short sneaker part of it, on the jumpsuit. Okay, so now it's time for the down part, that's the short knicker part of the jumpsuit. So to get started, I'm going to be marking out 1 inch from 1.5 inch or 1 inch from the side of the pattern paper. I have that connected vertically. We are going to be knowing the reason for this later. So next, I'm going to be marking out the crotch of the short knicker. So for the crotch, I'm going to be using 11.5 inches. Meanwhile, the crotch for my trouser measurement is 10.5 inches, but I added one so that, because this is a jumpsuit, it needs to be well relaxed. So this is the length of the crotch, and then for the length of the short knicker, depending on how short or long you want it to be. I'm not sure I'm going to be wanting this jumpsuit to be that short, because I want to wear it out. Okay, so for the length, I'm not going to be using a very short length. I'm going to be using the length that will be comfortable and convenient for me. Okay, so at this point, I also mark the crotch length and I have them connected together. So this is our crotch at this point, and at the upper part here I have the waist, and then here I have the short length. Okay, so to get the width of the crotch, we're going to be dividing the hip measurement by 4. Okay, whatever that gives us, we'll further divide it by 4. So the hip is 40, you divide by 4 will give you 10, you further divide by 4 will give you 2.5. So from this point I mark 2.5, and at the upper part I also mark 2.5, and I have those connected with a straight line to give me a vertical line. So at this point I'm going to get in the hip line. So I have the hip line marked out. So this is where the hip line is, and I'm going to be curving it to the crotch length like so. So this is the crotch curve. And then at the upper part, from this point, I'm going to be dividing the waist measurement by 4 and add my dart allowance. So the waist measurement divided by 4 gave me 7.5. Please ignore these points. It gave me 7.5, and I add 1 inch for dart allowance, which is at this point. And then at this hip line area, I divide the hip measurement by 4, and then I have that marked out. So I'm going to be connecting the waist to the hip just with a curve rule like so. So I have the waist and the hip connected. So at this point, can you see from the hip area to this point, can you see where the tape rope begins and where it ends? I get the midpoint of this width. But before I proceed with this, please permit me, I need to mark out the hem seam allowance at the lower part of the short. So this is the 2-inch seam allowance. I have that marked out. So coming back to this width at the hip line, I get the midpoint, and then I come down to this point. The midpoint gave me 6 1/4, so I have that marked out. After which I divide the knee circumference by 4. So whatever I have, I'm going to be marking that to the left and then to the right from this point. Okay, so the knee circumference divided by 4 gave me 6 inches. So from this point I'm going to be marking 6 inches to this point, and then from this point again I mark the same 6 inches, which is a total of 12 inches from this point to this point. Okay, so that's how you go about that. So because it is not a straight leg short or so, it's a bit wide at the lower part. I'm going to be marking 1 inch extra at this point and also 1 inch extra at this point, just to give me that outward appearance that the shape has. And then I'm going to be connecting the points from the crotch to this point, and then from the hip line area to the down part, just like so. I hope these explanations are well understood. Please, if you don't, please go back, rewind and watch again, and I promise you understand. So from this point downward, the extra 2 inches, I just mark straight line down. That's the seam allowance. And at this point, it's time for the dart. So I just get the midpoint of the waist and I mark that, and I mark downwards by 4 inches. That's the length of the dart. And then in between, at the 2 sides of the dart line, I mark ½ inch to the sides of the dart, and then I connect with a pointed slanted line like so. This represents the dart line. So this is simple enough for the short. You can use this to cut a normal short or even a trouser if you want. This pattern is well explained enough. So I just proceeded to the cutting of my pattern, following all the things that I already marked out. Okay, so I'm going to be using this to cut the back. So I place it on the back pattern, and for the back pattern, at this crotch area, I'm going to be extending it outward by 3.5 inches. Okay, so the extension, the difference between the front crotch and the back crotch should be at least 3 inches to 3.5. Okay, but to be on the safe side, I only use 3.5, and I'm going to be marking it outwards a bit slantly like so. You can see it. I didn't make it straight. Let me use my tape, my straight ruler, so that I can see. I didn't make it straight. I make it a little bit slanty, and then at this upper part, I come out by 1.5 inches, and I'm going to be connecting from the waist side to the crotch area downwards, just as you can see. Okay, so at this waist area, I'm going to be extending it upward by 1.5 inches, and I have that connected upwards like so again, and from that point I'm going to be connecting it back to the waist, the side of the waist of the short. Okay, so this is what it should give. And then at this down part, I'm going to be extending it outward by 1 inch, I mean. So I extend it up to this 2 inches seam allowance, and then I connect this point with a straight line, and from the crotch downwards I connect with the curve like so. So at this point the back is set, and then I cut out. So guys, once again, please subscribe if you haven't. I hope this tutorial has been helpful if you have watched up to this point. So I cut that out, and this is what we have for the front and then the back pattern. So at this point, this is set for cutting on the fabric. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. The only thing is just to add our normal seam allowances where necessary, and then we are good to go with for the cutting with the fabric. So to cut on our fabric, I already have that done. So this is what the front pattern looks like. Sorry for the rumpiness. They took light at this point. You can see it's dark, so I couldn't iron and I needed to proceed. So I stitched the crotch of the front, and then for the back, I'm going to be stitching up to this point because of the zipper at the back. After stitching at this point, I'm going to be placing the front on the back, and then I stitch on the side and the crotch area like so, and then I finally attach the upper part to the lower part. And guys, our beautiful cut together shoulder short knicker jumpsuit is set. I hope you love the final outcome. This actually looks very, very beautiful, very comfortable, very easygoing. Like, it depends on how you want to wear it. You can dress it up, you can dress it down. Like as it is now, I'm rocking this today. No capping, I'm rocking this today, and I'm not taking this out. And from this, at this point from here, I'm stepping out, and this is my look for today. I hope you loved the final outcome, and I hope you enjoyed this beautiful tutorial. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in my very next one. Bye.